Beef. It's what's for dinner. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video from the 10-7 MMA channel. We are covering another good old-fashioned beef involving Ariel Helwani, and this one involves Ali Abdelaziz. This beef goes back a very long time. Now, if you guys are new to MMA, which I think if you're watching this channel, you're not, you may not know about the ongoing beef between Ariel Helwani and the most famous and outspoken manager in all of mixed martial arts, Ali Abdelaziz, who is the owner of Dominance MMA, and I believe he has the largest roster of active fighters in the entire game. Some of the most notable names: Khabib Nurmagomedov, obviously, is retired. Islam Makhachev, Kamaru Usman. We're going to go through that entire roster shortly, or at least whatever is displayed on the Dominance MMA website. But today, what I'm covering is the ongoing feud. And these guys talk about each other back and forth for years and years. But what I'm starting this video off with is the history of the beef. Now, as we know, Ariel is not afraid to speak his mind, not afraid to ask somewhat intrusive questions that sometimes get fighters in trouble. And I think this is what is the root of the issue between Ali and Ariel. But where I wanted to start was this. I think this is the last time Ariel actually got Ali to come on a show and interview him. And it's almost like they were trying to hash out their differences on air. It didn't really work, obviously, because after this, Ali subsequently banned all of his fighters. Like prior to this whole blow up happening, Ariel had interviewed Khabib and so on. But then after this falling out, Ali said, nope, if you're one under my roster, you are not allowed to go on Ariel Helwani's show. So we're going to rewind. This is just a 1.5-minute clip that I found, a little short excerpt showing some of the intensity between Ali Abdelaziz and Ariel. And say what you will about Ariel, but Ali trains at Extreme Couture. He trains with Justin. Actually, him and Justin have gotten into a full-on fight while sparring. And apparently, this is what Justin told me, but Ali can fight. So you have to give credit where credit's due. Ariel's not afraid to speak his mind and go at Ali when they're this far apart. People always say, hey, you wouldn't say that to his face. He says it to a lot of fighters' face, whatever he's feeling. He's authentic. He's there. So say what you will, but you have to give him a little bit of credit there. But here, we're going to start here with a little rewind to give you guys some context for the history of this beef.
I'm just going to give you and John Morgan support.
Okay, is it being loyal to block? Is it being loyal to send messages?
But the whole thing is
being loyal. To me, it feels like this.
So again, I think Ali was saying that he has a problem with Ariel because he feels that Ariel is not loyal. I don't know exactly where this claim stems from, but I do believe that it generally has to do probably with the way he asked fighters. Actually, maybe there might be something more specific that I'm missing, so I don't want to mislabel this accusation of being disloyal. But anyways, that's what they're talking about right now. And Ariel's going, oh, you're saying I'm disloyal? Is it loyal is it loyalty to block me on social media, etc.? So check this little interaction out, heated interaction.
This is all getting to your head. If you want me to be honest, I feel like you're getting out of control.
I'm asking a question.
Yeah.
That's not the first time I block you. I blocked you before.
Yeah, why? Who acts like that? That's a child. That's a high school kid acts like that.
You
know who acts like that, right?
Huh?
You know who acts like that? You're taking a page out of his book.
Who?
Out of Dana White's book. You're acting like Dana White. You're acting like a bully. You are. And you're getting too emotional, and you're trying to intimidate people, and you're trying to intimidate the media. You are, and you can't do that. That's not your job.
This is who I am.
That's not your job to do that. I respect you for being loyal to your guys. I respect you for having your back. But you can't intimidate the media. That's what I said to Dan. I said, you're trying to intimidate me, and you're trying to bully me. Yes, you are.
That's not true. If I try to intimidate
no one is allowed to call me a disappointment. Only my wife, my mom, and my dad.
I think that was an error. I said I'm disappointed. I think if I said that, I apologize to you on air.
A disappointment.
You cannot be disappointed me now, my son. How you?
Why did you write it? I read what you wrote.
Whatever. I misspelled, and I was wrong for saying that.
Okay. So there, I didn't know there was this random clip here. Anyways, go back and watch the entire interview. I've actually watched it multiple times. It's really entertaining, but they go back and forth. They try to hash it out. Obviously, it doesn't work, and the feud continues. And it's really a bummer because Ariel is the best in the game when it comes to interviews, whether you like him or hate him or whatever. You just have to objectively admit that. He asks really interesting questions. I just talked about this in a video I made yesterday. And so it's unfortunate that we don't get to see Kamaru Usman on the show, that we don't get to see Islam, we don't get to see Henry Cejudo, all these awesome guys on the Dominance roster. And as I mentioned, we're going to look at the roster in a second. But it is what it is, and Ali has protected his fighters. Now, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about why he's done so. And actually, as much as I love Ariel's interviewing style, I totally get where Ali's coming from. We're going to talk about that in a second in context of what I'm going to play here. But this happened just today, where Ariel fired some shots at Ali's, not Ali actually this time, but at Ali's entire roster. And I wanted to point this out because this is the first time I've never heard him talk about the fighters. Maybe he has before, maybe. And yeah, so maybe this is not the first time, but usually the shots are fired at Ali if they're fired at all. But this time he kind of goes at all the fighters indirectly, but kind of directly. So I'll play the clip, and then I'm going to talk about why Ariel's characterization I think is unfair. But check this out.
Speaking of Ali, Sebastian says, my girlfriend and I were wondering, why does Kayla seem to have no issue coming on the show and actually seems to enjoy you very much, even though she's managed by the infamous Ali? Your loyal fans, Tony and Sebastian. Because she has a mind of her own, like she is okay making decisions on her own, and she recognizes that she is the boss and he works for her. That's the way this should go, and she's comfortable in her own skin, and she's not going to let anyone tell her what to do. She has bigger quote-unquote balls than any of the other fighters on the roster. Maybe that's why, because she's a two-time Olympic gold medalist, because she's a badass, because she doesn't let anyone dictate who she speaks to, what she does. She thinks for herself. Yeah, all those things.
Jesus, if I said that, the abuse would get off Juliana Pena. Jesus.
Woo! Okay, so that's Ariel's 2 cents. And by going on, I guess he's trying to prop Kayla up, which again, I'm a huge fan of Kayla Harrison, so I'm on board with that. But he has simultaneously insulted the entire roster of Ali Abdelaziz. So let me explain a little bit more, because I get Ariel's frustration, but here's the thing. Ali is doing this for the interest of the fighters. And I've mentioned this before, and Ariel just has to come to terms with this. As amazing as an interviewer as he is, he does ask questions in a way that will often catch fighters off guard and cause them to sometimes reveal information which could impact their career in a negative way. You know, he asks he'll ask like somewhat intrusive questions about payments, and maybe maybe the management team doesn't even want that information being public. I imagine they don't. I imagine the UFC, even though they claim they don't care, I bet they don't want that information being publicized either. So there's reasons why, good reasons. We just heard Joaquin Buckley go off on Ariel for the same reason. So many fighters have voiced this, and other fighters have been mad at him. Ariel will deny it to the end of his days, I think. And that's generally what he does. He just denies any of these allegations. But I think enough people have stepped forward and said the same thing that we have to acknowledge that it is true. And so we have to say that Ali, I'm sure it's not a absolute mandate. It can't be, otherwise Kayla would be in violation of that. So obviously there's that flexibility, but what I imagine it is a very, very, very strong recommendation, or almost a demand, but like for their benefit, to not go on a show, because oftentimes it could potentially hurt their career. Now, there's massive benefits to going on a show because it increases your visibility. People like me watch the show. So I'm sure it's a pro-con situation. Maybe there's a little bit of emotion involved there as well, where Ali just doesn't like Ariel. So he also is doing this in a vindictive way. All of that to say, I just think that Ariel is not exactly being totally fair in the way that he's characterizing the rest of the roster, saying only Kayla has a mind of her own, the rest of them don't. Actually, the fighters are the boss, not the manager, and they should be able to come on, but Kayla's got bigger balls than all these guys. They're trying to listen to their manager, who has their best interests at heart. And a lot of these fighters, you can see that they have a friendship and almost a brotherhood with Ali Abdelaziz. So it's not really a fair characterization, but by making this statement, Ariel has just slammed the entire roster. And I'll show you the entire roster right now. What is at least presented on the website. I feel like the roster is bigger than what's shown here. But anyways, and by the way, I've never come to this website before. I realized today that he still got the picture of Khabib choking out Conor as the main photo. And while that is probably one of the most famous moments in the history of MMA, Ali very publicly hates Conor McGregor. So I think it's really funny that he has this as the main thing, because yes, it's capturing a famous moment, but it's also like probably capturing Conor's least favorite moment in the history of mixed martial arts. So I just thought that was really funny and probably a troll. But if you look at the roster, Khabib, So by Ariel saying all this, Khabib, you've been roasted. Henry Cejudo, boom, roasted. Kamaru Usman, boom, roasted. Cody Garbrandt, boom, roasted. Kayla Harrison is the one that he is propping up and saying, hey, she has a mind of her own compared to everybody else. Justin Gaethje, one of the most beloved fighters of the game, boom, roasted. All these other fighters, Fabricio Verdum, obviously Frankie Edgar, legend in the game. All of these fighters, he's just going out and basically saying, yep, Kayla's the only one that's got a mind of her own. She's got bigger, quote unquote, balls than everybody else. I don't know. I'm sure this is a heated thing for Ariel. It probably drums up a lot of emotions, but I definitely think it's unfair to go after the rest of the roster when they're trying to follow the advice and guidance of somebody that has their best interests at heart. So I thought this was a little bit unfair, but you know, this channel, we want to capture and talk about all of these interesting beefs or these little comments because I don't know, what could I say? I find it interesting and fascinating, and we want to share it to you and bring it to you. And I know we get the feedback from our viewers on this channel that you guys like this type of content. So hopefully you enjoyed this little spotlight on that quick comment, which I think has a lot of implications. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. What do you think about Ariel's comments? What do you think about this beef? Who do you think is right? Who do you think is wrong? Love to hear all of that. Thank you guys so much for joining, and we'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.